The format of tonight's meeting is to have a guest speaker share their experience, strength and hope on how the Alcoholics Anonymous program of recovery is working in their lives for 15 to 20 minutes. Tonight we have asked Peter to share.
Thanks. Yeah, my name's Peter and I'm an alcoholic. The first time at this meeting and I'm pretty nervous. Experience, strength and hope. I'll try and give a bit about what the big book we were working on just before this meeting started. I don't know if I can work some of that into it, but I'll try it. I'll give you my experience, strength and hope at the moment and how my life is at the moment too. I knew about Alcoholics Anonymous when I was a bit kid, about 14 or 15. My older brother was alcoholic. He was the first members of the Chelsea group in the early 60s. And our house had strange men coming in and out of it. And my brother was stopped drinking. And the bullshit in the banter I thought was terrific. I loved it, and it changed the whole atmosphere of our house. I'm the youngest of 5 boys. I've got a younger sister. There's 22 years difference between the youngest and the oldest. And that's relevant only for me today because we've got a fair bit of health issues in the family. And it brings up a lot of memories for me about growing up, about my brother's alcoholism and how weak I thought he was and what a useless piece of work he was, you know, and I detested him at the time. And then all of a sudden we had a house full of men who were, it changed the atmosphere of our house completely. There's a lot of banter and a lot of laughter, and I started to really admire those guys, and I thought they were terrific. And I got an early education. There was people, some of them would break and come around, and I was told not to give them any money. And so as a young guy, I had a bit of an education about alcoholism and alcoholics, but I couldn't be one. I'll fast track it a bit. The brother next to me, Terry, is. He was a wharfie, one of those guys who would walk in the pub in Port Melbourne and take the piss out of the biggest bloke in the bar, and everybody would pull around laughing and pat him on the back. If I did it, they'd rip my head off. The personalities are quite different in our house, and but regardless, we all seem to have a penchant for alcohol, and I picked it up and I couldn't stop drinking. I ran away from a marriage when I was 20. I got stuck in the bar at the Chelsea Hotel and was there for the next, I can't remember now, it would have been 13, 16 years. And I kept away from women, I ran away from a marriage, and eventually I teamed up with a woman who'd previously been married to alcoholics. And we seemed to fit hand in glove, and the misery continued. The culmination of it, life became too tough, I was getting too sick, and even she couldn't stand my alcoholism, and she was used to alcoholics. I went home to Mum, who gave me a bed, and I was very sick, sorry, and I brought up next to the Catholic Church actually, and I'd given Catholicism away when I was about 14, so I was a pretty active atheist at an early age. But I got that sick, physically, mentally and emotionally, that I got down on my hands and knees and I cried out to a God I didn't believe in. And all of a sudden, the thought of a Chelsea meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous came into my head, and I hadn't had a thought like that from the time I was 18 until 33, 34. I got to the meeting and I was shivering, shaking mess. So I did a detox and came back out and went back in again. And there was a a member there, Gary, who I used to point the finger at in the Chelsea Hotel and say this bloke shouldn't drink. And I say, he beat me to AA by 8 years. And he started to take me around. And we did a lot of meetings. It was a meetings environment then. That's what you did. Seemed to think that the steps on the wall were there to cover up the cracks. Nobody seemed to be interested in them that much, and it was mainly that meetings. Some members didn't want you to talk about steps; they weren't interested, and then you had to look around for something if you wanted more. It was good in the early days. I used to pour my heart out to Gary in the car on the way to meetings. And I didn't really know it at the time, but he had a hearing aid. He used to turn it off because it interfered with his Volkswagen. Well, it wasn't a Volkswagen, it was a wagon, and the engine used to interfere with the hearing aid, so he turned it off. And I was doing, a few fourth and fifth steps with him, but he didn't even realise it, and I was pouring my heart out to this guy. And he seemed to shake his head at the right time and nod his head, and I thought he was a genius. He didn't know the word. So I stumbled along, and I was, as I say, I did AA pretty tough in the early days, and somebody started pointing me towards steps meetings. And I went to a couple, and it was very judgmental. And I used to get the shits because they'd read a passage and then they'd talk about their experience about that passage, and they'd get right away from the topic. And so by the time I left the steps meeting, it was probably worse than when I walked in there. So I did AA, and I did it in a very, I suppose, high and low. There was a lot of troughs and a lot of peaks, and there was AA weekends where I thought it was terrific, and there was days during the week where I thought, how bad is this? Somebody suggested that I try the triangle group, which had just started up in Prahran, in Faulkner Park actually, and so I went up to there. I had a look at the steps, and I'd been to steps meetings, and I'd done a few things, and those people put it on butcher's papers and on whiteboards and whatever, and they brought it to life for me, and I learned how to do a proper inventory that I hadn't done before. It was more just a guilt trip the first time. And the thing for me that really turned it on was when I first realised that when doing a 4-step, when I put down all my resentments and went through the process, at the end of the day I still had resentments. And going through the part in the book where it says we made decisions based on self that later placed us in a position to be hurt. When I started to see where I was coming from and what I was doing, it turned it around for me, and I started to get off other people's cases and started to get on my own. And I started to get happy about being sober. And that was illuminating for me. I thought that was fantastic. And I had a sort of a honeymoon period, if you like, for that. I was a big book thumper, and used to go around telling everybody this is how you got to do it, and life got a lot better for me for quite a while there, and but I've been over and out many times. I've done periods where I've been active in AA, and I've done lots of meetings. There's been periods over the 30 odd years that I've been sober that I didn't do much at all. Got married in AA and did a geographical with a member, if you like, who I married. We went to Brisbane, and we didn't do many meetings while I was up there. But I managed to keep in touch with AA, and my program has been on and off for a long, long time. Part of that is probably because of my judgmental nature and how I view the big book and God, I suppose. It's been my process. I know that when I work the program as best I can, I travel better than when I don't. At the moment, I sound like a pretty depressing meeting, but I've got, as I say, I've got some family issues at the moment which are pretty wearing. The oldest brother who got to AA first has got lung cancer, and he's not going too well. The second brother died quite a while ago. The third brother's just had a hip replacement. The brother next to me, Terry, has got bowel cancer, just part of his bowel removed for cancer, and he's also got a lump on the side of his throat. Everywhere I look, there's mayhem. You know, it just seems to be, and family members who are not coping all that well, and others who are. And I find that I need to keep in touch with Alcoholics Anonymous and AA members and work whatever program I can fit in. So I don't know if it's been a very illuminating meeting for you tonight. As I can say, is that the turning point for my sobriety when I was first around was to get an understanding of how those steps work in my life and to put them into place. And even though I struggle with the concept of God, the principles in the program in Alcoholics Anonymous are my higher power, and to a greater extent, a great many members who have been pretty good and very helpful. And I'll leave it at that. Thanks. Okay.